Hello, my name is Emma Brown and I'm a Training and Development Officer with Learning Through Landscapes. I had the fortunate opportunity to work with Raise a couple of years ago, and today I would just like to talk about how to take STEM outdoors and the opportunities it affords. So, the importance of teaching STEM outdoors lies in its ability to enrich learning by integrating science, technology, engineering and maths with the natural environment, making subject learning more dynamic, relevant and applicable to real-world situations. Teaching STEM outdoors makes it easy to link learning to climate change education. Learning for sustainability and the Sustainable Development Goals helps pupils to understand the vital role STEM plays in finding solutions to real-world challenges. So why teach STEM outdoors? Really, we're thinking about the UK's economic ambitions. There will be a need to have a sustainable supply of skilled engineering and manufacturing workers to undertake major future projects related to transition, decarbonisation of transport and food security, and to have those environmental stewards of the future. So what are the benefits of teaching STEM outdoors? So firstly, hands-on real-life experiences. We know that the outdoor environments naturally encourage active physical learning, keeping pupils more engaged and making more abstract ideas more tangible and understandable. It affords multisensory learning. So outdoor environments stimulate and engage multiple senses, facilitating a richer and more memorable learning experience. Different natural spaces can simultaneously ignite creativity and imagination while fostering a sense of calm and well-being. Feeling those natural elements such as the sun, wind and rain is important as it connects us as human beings to the planet that we live on. Increased curiosity. The dynamic and ever-changing nature of the outdoors stimulates pupil curiosity and motivation to explore and learn while developing critical thinking and problem-solving skills. Communication skills. So outdoor STEM activities often involve teamwork, helping pupils to develop communication and cooperation and leadership skills. Through those high-quality interactions, questions and use of scientific vocabulary, teachers can develop pupils' learning and the development in STEM. Finally, environmental stewardship. Learning STEM outdoors helps pupils develop a sense of connection to the environment. This connection to nature can develop a sense of awareness and responsibility that can inspire lifelong interest in conservation and sustainable practice, and is a meaningful approach to teaching about climate change. Outdoor STEM develops adaptability as pupils encounter unpredictable and changing elements, particularly in Scotland with the weather changes, preparing them for challenges and encouraging them to find solutions. So how can we support STEM learning outdoors? So STEM learning involves creative planning, active engagement and leveraging the natural environment to enhance learning. So one of the first things we look at is the space, and a way of doing that is auditing the outdoor space to create a high quality STEM environment. Looking at identifying opportunities within those spaces that encourage different aspects of STEM and the applications of science skills. So do you have any opportunities for looking at biodiversity? Do you have long grass? Do you have wildflower areas? Do you have opportunities for soil conservation, looking at raised beds or areas of planting? So really looking at identifying opportunities within the school grounds, identifying types of materials within the school grounds. Do we have opportunities for sand or water activities? Is there availability of natural objects such as leaves and sticks and cones around that provide those rich environments for STEM? And also then thinking about the space outside of the school grounds, local spaces such as parks and woodlands, which would enable pupils to experience more diverse and ecosystems and geological features. So one of the activities you can do is to do a STEM audit activity, encourage them with an iPad or through taking pictures, drawings, discussion, thinking about those different areas, looking at what exciting areas you can see, what's the most exciting thing you can see, what's the most boring thing you can see, because what's one person's concept of boring could easily be somebody else's idea of exciting or interesting. A bollard, for example, could just be a place for parking, but it could also be a seat, it could be a launch area for children jumping off. So looking at different types of items around the school grounds, thinking about any technological things that you can see in the school grounds, any mathematical, such as fencing that provides geometric patterns. So looking at your environment and doing that STEM audit is a really good way to think about and encouraging STEM creativity. So how do we support STEM practice outdoors? So through the science inquiry skills, we've got developing inquiry and investigative skills, developing scientific analytical thinking skills, and finally we want to develop those scientifically literate citizens, so through questioning. So the importance of using open-ended questions that can support observation, exploration and classification skills that inspire creativity with our young people, and scientific language. So vocabulary is an essential element of science learning, boosting language development and communication skills, which lead to enhanced STEM thinking. So really thinking about the language that we use. So questions. How can we support high quality interaction to develop STEM knowledge and understanding? So firstly, we can do it through questions, those open-ended questions we just talked about, creating a STEM wall or having a lanyard with STEM questions on it, using the meta skills, so that we've got a variety of resources that we can use to support the interactions that we have with the children. Looking at science vocabulary, so the importance of boosting language development and communication skills, which will lead to STEM thinking, enhanced STEM thinking. So it's very critical that we encourage really good use and explore, how we use STEM vocabulary accurately and effectively. STEM explorations are a great way for developing pupils' vocabulary. As they engage in STEM activities, children do what scientists and engineers do. They observe, they investigate, they ask questions, they measure, they design, and they build and they develop that scientific language through these explorations. So ways to support the development of scientific language. So provide a label for STEM learning. So for their actions, I can see you're exploring, or you're putting that leaf into the water. Do you think it's going to float or sink? Encouraging pupils to use STEM vocabulary, the sciences, through their senses of sight and touch. How does that feel? How does it look? How does it smell? Teaching STEM vocabulary in context. So the water that you're touching when you're washing your hands, that feels cold. How do you know it feels cold? Which sense are you using? So constantly, looking at that science language. So ways that we can look is, how important choosing relevant subtopics are. So some topics lend themselves really well to outdoor exploration, such as weather patterns, geometry, engineering challenges. And the school grounds offer a rich environment for that STEM learning. So, if we're looking at weather, we're obviously outside, we can see the weather changing, we can use natural objects, we can look at different features. And on our LTL website, we have got lots of different STEM activities that you can look at and use. So one of the things that we are looking at in Learning through landscapes is we have a current Climate School 180 project, which is focused on looking at the grounds as a way of developing and adapting and mitigating for climate change. So the school grounds provides a fantastic learning environment, as we know, and we can really look at how we can address the impacts of climate change through these environments. It offers opportunities for different projects, for a variety of resources that we can use, and children can be involved in doing a grounds audit and then look at nature-based solutions that can adapt and mitigate for climate change. So there are 6 key areas to address: so water management, temperature, nature, carbon management, air quality, and policy and practice. All of these areas have different STEM activities involved that you can do with the pupils. For example, water management, testing for permeability, and then looking at examples of change. So how can we change the surface? How can we improve the soil? Lots of different activities. And again, climate change and biodiversity related outdoor lesson ideas. So a really nice way of using the outdoors to talk about biodiversity. And looking at different areas of STEM, so tool technology outdoors. Do we use hand tools? How can they be used in the outdoor area, and thinking about how it increases the confidence of using tools safely. It brings it to life. You can use it in a real life context. So again, if you're using tools, just to have that element of STEM brought into that. Using digital technology outdoors, really good. Again, bringing that, encouraging that link. So making sure when you are taking technology outdoors, if you're using iPads, that you've got a decent cover and it's robust for the outdoors. That you put on preloaded apps. There's lots of fantastic apps out there for looking at wildlife ID, plant ID. So making sure they're preloaded so that when you go outside, the pupils can use them to explore and identify objects in nature in the outdoors. Using QR codes, so maybe having set up QR codes in certain areas around the grounds that provide information points, or taking them out so that you can look at those. Using digital technology outdoors. Education Scotland have a really good website where you can go on and look at some examples of that. If you're doing fire outdoors, so if you're looking at having talking about fire, you can be looking at those science links, those technology links, those science links. The properties of fire and the use and uses of substances. Again, looking at how we create those areas, what materials we need and tools we need to help to develop a fire area. Having those links. Outdoor cooking in STEM, again, a whole variety of different STEM links, from chemical reactions to the physics of heat transfer to mathematics and measurement, using scales, proportions to measure out ingredients. Looking at environmental science when cooking, thinking about solar ovens, using good wood, biomass discussion. So a really nice way of taking STEM outdoors through cooking. In a lot of schools, I see loose parts, some fantastic loose parts and den building activities and learning going on, but thinking about that connection, maybe looking at the engineering habits of mind, looking at how we're engineering when we're using the loose parts. Loose parts was very much founded on Nicholson's theory of taking objects and showing that affordance, that they could be used in lots of different ways, and how you can then increase creativity and imagination through using variety of large and small loose parts. So looking at how we do those engineering activities, and again encouraging that use of engineering vocabulary. can you engineer a bridge? Can you create? Can you improve? How good is the foundation here? So constantly revisiting that vocabulary. Some really good resources, again on the LTL website, through the RAISE site, lots of fantastic resources such as Rosie Revere the Engineer, One Snowy Night that was written by a RAISE officer, some amazing and then a variety of loose parts, using loose parts along with engineering outdoors. Mathematics, again, probably one of the ones that we see the most of. Teaching numeracy outdoors, we've got an LTL blog on that, which is really useful to have a look at, but it helps the children master the very basics of the subject, so having access to some materials outside, so having bags of rocks and sticks and leaves to help with the children doing those mathematical activities outside. Again, using language and skills in the real life context, so measuring, tree measuring, lots of resources around outdoor maths, Creative Star. The guru Juliet Robertson has a huge amount of resources to do with maths outdoors, and a fantastic way of children and young people being able to see that in a real life context. Another way is of using STEM outdoors is to encourage a Let's Go STEM Trails book that I use an awful lot, and have created a variety of different STEM trails based on stories and STEM links. So Superworm was based on looking at soil and looking at composting. The Tools trail was looking at technologies, looking at different tools and how we use them. So again, there are a variety of different STEM trails outdoors that you can use or create your own. And I also just wanted to share with you a community link. So in North Ayrshire Council, we created a STEM trail for families and the community, where they can go around and complete a variety of different STEM activities, highlighting how the outdoors provides those links and for families to get involved and see those STEM connections in nature. Finally, just lots of different resources and links here. LTL's Pollination Project, the National Parks Project, looking at the SDGs. So it's really about bringing the STEM curriculum to life through learning for a sustainable future. And obviously through this the RAISE Expo that this is part of, just how sharing that professional learning, sharing those STEM opportunities, having it at one place where we can access those resources and professional learning. So I would definitely recommend looking to the RAISE website and keeping an eye out on further professional learning coming forwards. I hope this has been useful in looking at how we can take STEM outdoors, and has just made you think about how important and how many opportunities there are to engage pupils in nature and enhance that STEM learning. If you have any further questions, or if you would like to get in touch with me, you can contact me at ebrown@ltl.org.uk.